Have you ever felt as if no matter what you do, no matter what you achieve, something still feels missing? You work, you chase, you strive, yet deep down there's a quiet whisper that tells you this isn't it. Most of us spend our lives searching for happiness, freedom, or meaning in places outside of ourselves. We chase wealth, recognition, relationships, or the promise of a brighter future, always believing that fulfillment is just around the corner. But what if the constant pursuit itself is the trap? What if the very thing you've been searching for has been within you this entire time? Hidden not in the future, not in the past, but in the quiet presence of this very moment. From the moment we are born, something subtle but powerful begins to shape us. As children, we arrive in this world whole, complete, filled with wonder, untouched by the weight of expectations, but almost immediately, the world begins whispering in our ears, "You are not enough." This whisper doesn't always come directly. Sometimes it's hidden in the way society measures worth through achievement, appearance, through wealth or status. Sometimes it shows up in the quiet comparisons we make to others. Someone always seems smarter than us, more successful, more beautiful, or more loved. And before we even realize it, this idea takes root inside us. It becomes a silent program running in the background of our lives, convincing us that we must constantly chase after something outside ourselves to fill an emptiness that was never truly there. This is the illusion of lack. It is one of the most powerful illusions we face as human beings because it shapes nearly every choice we make. It is the reason we pursue recognition from others, believing that validation will finally make us whole. It is why we chase possessions, thinking material comfort will erase the inner void. It is why we imagine a better future where we feel safe, fulfilled, and free. But here's the truth that so few ever stop to consider. If fulfillment could truly be found in external achievements, wouldn't we already be satisfied by now? Think about how many times you set a goal, believing that once you reached it, life would change forever. And yet, when the goal was achieved, the feeling of fulfillment faded, the satisfaction slipped away, and the cycle began again. Always chasing the next thing, always waiting for tomorrow. The illusion of lack convinces us to live as seekers, endlessly searching, never arriving. Like a mirage in the desert, the promise of completion always seems just ahead, but no matter how far we walk, it retreats into the distance. And as we chase this mirage, we overlook the truth that everything we've been longing for is not out there, it's already within us. The tragedy of this illusion is that it robs us of the present moment. Instead of fully inhabiting the richness of now, we are pulled into the past with its regrets or into the future with its promises and fears. We become lost in the story of who we should be while forgetting the power of simply being. But here's where a deeper realization begins. You are not broken. You are not incomplete. The sense of lack you feel is not evidence of some flaw within you. It is evidence of an illusion you have been taught to believe. And like any illusion, once seen clearly, it begins to dissolve. To see through it, you must pause. You must allow yourself to stop running toward the horizon and instead turn inward, into the sanctuary of your own being. Because what you will find there is not insufficiency, it is abundance. Not emptiness, but wholeness. The very stillness you've been overlooking contains the peace you've been chasing. And this is the first step in awakening, realizing that the endless pursuit of completion outside yourself is a trap. True freedom begins when you discover that the treasure you've been seeking was never missing. It has been within you all along, waiting patiently for you to notice it. If the illusion of lack convinces us that we are incomplete, then the illusion of time convinces us that salvation lies somewhere other than now. From the moment we wake up in the morning, we feel its grip, the rush to get to work, the constant checking of the clock, the quiet anxiety that there's never enough time. We live as if the present moment is never sufficient, always sacrificing it for the future. We tell ourselves, when I finish this project, then I'll rest. When I reach this milestone, then I'll feel peace. When I get through this, then life will begin. But tomorrow never arrives, because when it comes, it only appears as today. And still, the mind whispers that it isn't enough. This illusion keeps us in a relentless chase, always running towards something that seems just out of reach. It's like the donkey chasing the carrot tied in front of its own eyes. No matter how fast it runs, the carrot never comes closer. The truth is, time itself is not the enemy. Time is a tool, a way for our human minds to measure change. The real problem is the way we've been conditioned to live, either in the memory of the past or the expectation of the future, while overlooking the one place where life is truly happening, right here, right now, in the present moment, all that exists. When we live in the past, we become prisoners of regret. When we live in the future, we become slaves to anxiety. But when we anchor ourselves in the present moment, even for a single breath, something miraculous happens. The illusion begins to break. Think of the moments when time seemed to dissolve. Watching a sunset, losing yourself in music, holding someone you love. In those moments, you weren't lost in yesterday or tomorrow. You were fully present, fully alive. That is where the essence of reality exists. Not in the ticking of the clock, but in the timeless awareness behind it. And yet, because we are so identified with the constant mental chatter, we often miss this truth. Our inner world becomes a labyrinth, a repeating cycle of thoughts and stories that keep us locked in a loop, instead of moving forward in life. We circle endlessly around the same worries, the same patterns, the same fears. The illusion of time feeds this labyrinth, keeping us entangled in what was and what might be, while distracting us from what is. But here's the invitation. Every time you bring your awareness back to the present moment, you step out of that labyrinth. You remember that freedom is not waiting for you in some distant future. It's available now, in the very breath you are taking. Beneath these illusions of lack and time lies another force, one that silently shapes the way we think, feel, and act, the unhealed wounds of the inner child. From the earliest days of our lives, we experience pain. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's overwhelming. A moment of rejection, a harsh word, a sense of being unseen or unloved. As children, we don't yet have the tools to process these wounds, so instead, we carry them. We bury them deep within, and over time, they form the shadows that shape our adult lives. These wounds whisper to us in ways we rarely recognize. They show up in our fear of abandonment, our need for approval, our tendency to self-sabotage. They're the reason we cling to unhealthy relationships or chase achievements that never satisfy. Without realizing it, we become trapped in a game born from these shadows, repeating the same patterns again and again, hoping for a different outcome. It's like being caught in a personal prison, one we built ourselves, brick by brick, without ever noticing. And every attempt to outrun the pain only strengthens its walls. The more we chase after external fulfillment, the further we drift from the healing that can only be found within. But here's the truth. These wounds are not meant to be chains. They are meant to be teachers. The inner child within you is not a weakness. It is the doorway to liberation. When you begin to turn inward and acknowledge those wounds, when you give that inner child the love and acceptance it never received, the prison begins to dissolve. This healing does not come through denial, and it does not come through endless chasing. It comes through presence. The same presence that dissolves the illusion of lack and the illusion of time. When you meet your inner child with awareness, with compassion, something extraordinary happens. The endless cycle of repetition begins to break. In that moment, you no longer live as a victim of your past. You no longer carry the shadows as a burden. Instead, You begin to transform them into light, and this light reveals the deeper truth that you were never broken, you were never incomplete, and you were never unworthy. You were whole all along. The child within you simply forgot. And so the path of awakening is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you already are. When the illusions of lack and time begin to dissolve, and when the wounds of the inner child are finally met with compassion instead of denial, something extraordinary reveals itself. What emerges is presence. Presence is not simply paying attention, and it's not about forcing the mind to be quiet. Presence is the recognition of what has always been here, hidden beneath the noise, the awareness that watches, the stillness that never leaves, the unshakable ground of your being. In presence, life no longer feels like a problem to be solved. The restless pursuit of external goals, the endless battle with the mind, the constant race against time, all of it loses its grip. Instead, you begin to see that everything you were looking for has always been here, arising in the simple fullness of this moment. Presence is freedom because it removes the need to control. You no longer have to define yourself by your past or predict your future, or cling to identities that were never truly yours. In presence, the ego, the voice that insists that you are not enough, it softens, it loses its authority, and in its place, a deeper truth shines through. The realization that you are not the voice in your head, you are the awareness that hears it. This realization changes everything. It transforms how you move through the world, how you experience relationships, and how you handle challenges. Problems no longer dominate your life because they are no longer your entire identity. They appear, they are acknowledged, and they pass. Just like clouds drifting across the sky, they no longer define the vastness of who you are. And here's the profound beauty of presence. It doesn't just heal you, it ripples outward. When you live anchored in awareness, you bring a calm, grounding energy into every interaction. You listen more deeply, you love more freely. You exist with a quiet strength that others can feel, even without words. Your very being becomes a reminder to those around you of what is possible when we stop living in the illusions of lack and time and return to the truth of now. A spiritual awakening, then, is not about escaping this world or chasing after some distant enlightenment. It's about opening your eyes to what is already here. It's about remembering that life is not waiting for you somewhere in the future. It's happening now, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this very moment. And so, as you sit with these words, take a breath, feel the air entering your body, the weight of the present grounding you here. In this simple act, you are awakening. You are returning to the essence that was never lost, only forgotten. The journey is not about becoming, it's about remembering. And what you are remembering is this: you are already whole, you are already free, you are life itself, awake and conscious in this very moment. In conclusion, when the illusions of lack, time, and false identity begin to dissolve, something deeper emerges, and that's presence. This presence is not something you have to create. It has always been here, quietly waiting beneath the noise of the mind. In presence, life no longer feels like a problem to be solved or a race to be won. The restless pursuit of extreme goals loses its grip, and you begin to see that fulfillment has always existed in the simplicity of this moment. The ego softens, the inner noise fades, and what remains is the awareness that you are more than your thoughts, more than your past, more than the stories you've carried. A spiritual awakening isn't about escaping reality. It's about seeing reality as it truly is, here and in the now. And in this realization, you remember what was never lost, that you are whole, You are free, and you are life itself, awake in this very moment. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this message spoke to you, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel so you never miss future insights that can guide your journey. Like this video if it resonated, and share it with someone who needs this reminder today.